Dhani watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Dhani and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Watching My Stories. I'm Dhani.
I'm John.
And I feel like I always need to have something else to say after that. It just feels so empty. I'm John, and then it's just like,
we should script at least the first 2 minutes of the show.
It's so stupid. Every single episode, it'd be funny to kind of tie the whole first minute together, and it's always this nonsense.
Hi, we're so-and-so,
and got nothing else. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Okay.
I think anybody listening to this has gotten comfortable with that by now.
They get it.
Yeah.
You get us.
Yeah. Well, if they're still listening, yes.
You must.
Sadly, they get us. So.
Okay. So it was a very slow week. As far as watching stuff goes. So there's not, I'm going to have a lot to talk about, but not a lot to talk about in those things, if that makes sense. Because we're just kind of kicking up these new shows. So
instead of spending 20 minutes on this one thing that we both saw or whatever, it's going to be a lot of short little updates or previews or whatever you want to call them.
Exactly. Thank you. Billy Idol gets it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Billy Idol in this scenario.
Thanks for explaining that. Ruined the joke.
Oh, I went too far again. That's what I do.
I should turn my phone down. Okay, so if everyone recalls a few weeks ago when I went to go see the Meg, there was a fire alarm probably 15 minutes before the ending, and we had to evacuate, and so I didn't get to see the end, so I wasn't able to rate it fully.
Yep.
However, we have now both watched it together, so I got to see the ending, and now John has actually seen the movie.
I got to see the whole thing.
So I already gave most of my opinion. What happened in the end was pretty... I knew what was going to happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but you knew it was going to happen. But I do have thoughts about the ending. So why don't you go ahead and talk about your thoughts on the movie?
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
So I kind of had a preconceived chip on my shoulder for this movie. I didn't think it was going to be very good, and I ended up liking it much more than I thought I would.
Really?
I really did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising, and halfway through I was like, I can't believe I like this movie. I'm not sure I want to say that, but, in the end, I have to say that because, I want to be fair and objective, and I really liked it. Jason Statham is just the man. I mean, he really is. Everything. I just want to be him. I really do. and the really sad part that we determined yesterday is he and I are basically the same age.
Yeah, he's exactly 1 year older than you.
Yeah.
So I said, so in a few months you're going to look like him then. That's what you have to look forward to.
He and I have traveled vastly different paths.
Yeah.
So...
anyway, but yeah, he does. He plays that hero so well, but he also always manages to have some heart in there. It feels like The Rock a little bit. Like, you can have some laughs and some good times, and be affectionate and sweet like he is with the little girl in this movie. But he's always going to be the first one to jump to action. And you appreciate that. So
about 3/4 of the way through the movie, I realized that he is what I always wanted Bruce Willis to be. Jason Statham, to me, plays a brooding hero way better than Bruce Willis. And that, I think, is not... I don't think he gets enough credit for being able to do that. Because Bruce Willis is very popular. I think he's very popular.
Yeah, he was. He
was. And I think Jason Statham is the same thing except better.
Yeah.
Really.
You're making me think.
Is that what that look on your face is?
You're making, it's so hard for me to,
I was going to ask if you're having a stroke or something.
Go against, the
I know.
Almost my whole life of thinking of Bruce Willis one way, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute. So I might have to stew on that for a bit.
I just shocked your system?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had that look on your face. I was a little concerned.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
okay.
Anyway.
We'll get back to you on that one.
So Jason Statham, yes. He is the movie. I mean, everyone else in it is fun and good, and they do what they're supposed to do, and there are jokes and all of that.
Yeah.
But he is the reason to watch it, because you do want to see that person who's going to dive into the water and save the people.
And he just keeps doing it and doing it and doing it.
Yeah.
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 So, and oh man, about halfway through, people have probably seen it by now.
Yeah.
They're going to see it.
Yeah.
Okay, spoiler alert. About halfway through, when they think they've gotten the Meg, and it's hanging there on the boat, and they're taking pictures of it and stuff, and then the real Meg comes along.
Yeah.
That scene, that actually made me sit up.
Yeah.
I was kind of reclined on our sofa, and it made me sit up.
Right.
And pay more attention. I was kind of like, okay, now it's a movie,
Yeah.
because that scene is actually just really.
It's just good.
It's awesome.
Right, because when you're watching it, you're kind of like, they caught it, so now what? You know, and Jason Statham does say, hey, the bite marks don't look like they're
Right.
what we're... But you aren't really... You're still not expecting that to happen.
Right. You could have very easily seen they started looking around and, okay, there's a bigger fin in the water a mile away or whatever.
Right, yeah.
That's kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I was not expecting what happened.
Yeah.
And it was really...
It's fun.
Oh, it was awesome.
That's the thing about this. So, look, everyone knows by now Jaws is my favorite movie of all time. So, of course, there's going to be those comparisons. It's not as good. Jaws is a good movie with a fantastic story and character development. This was all over the place as far as the story goes. The characters, it's all weird, but it's enjoyable. And so you can just sit back and enjoy it. When it comes on the movie channels, will I tune in and I'll watch it? Yeah, I will.
Maybe that's a better description. I enjoyed it more than I thought it would.
Yes,
maybe
it's not a good movie, but it's enjoyable.
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
It's true.
It's incredibly average movie,
right?
But it was way more enjoyable than I thought it would be,
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll live with that.
So here's the only issue I had now that I've seen the ending. I felt like, and this is just a personal thing, I'm sure people were happy, whatever, but the way that they got the shark, I felt was inhumane. It was very difficult for me to watch. I didn't like being so cruel to it. I don't know why. It's
one thing to blow up a shark versus but to slitting it open.
Slit it open and then it's still, and then shoving the thing in its eye and all that. Like that just got to me a little bit. But you got to expect it's hard to figure out an ending that hasn't been done. The Shallows, I had a problem with that ending with the shark. Like, it's hard to figure out how to kill the monster a different way than it's been killed before. So I get it, but it was hard for me to watch.
How did the Shallows end? It blew up, right?
No, she had it chase her down to the bottom of that well that had all the rebar sticking up. And then she turned away and the shark impaled itself on all the rebar.
Oh, I totally don't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm swimming in the air. Like, she did this and then she did this.
Sorry.
If only this were video.
You can't see it, but Dhani was swimming through the air.
So anyway, so now that I've seen the ending, I feel like I can give it a rating.
Okay.
I'm giving it 2.5 stars. It's very middle of the ground. So to me, I will watch it when it's on the movie channels. It's not something I will ever own. It's not something that I feel like I have to, but it's a fun movie that when I'm looking for kind of that mindless sense stuff, I will just put it on, have it on. There are laughs. I mean, I even tear up,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It gets everything, but it's just not well put together. But, so for me, that's why I give it 2.5.
Okay, so I'm going to give it 3.5.
Okay.
I thought it was... I'm not going to make a strong argument against you. I think it was better put together than you're giving it credit for. I think possibly like me, and probably almost everybody else who's seen Jaws, you probably had kind of a preconceived idea going in that, okay, this is going to be not great. We'll see how it goes. There should be good special effects and that sort of thing. And probably had an unconscious chip on your shoulder towards it.
Yeah, but I've seen it twice now. I mean, I can understand that after my first viewing. But usually when I see something a second time, that can fade away and I can enjoy something a little bit more.
Sure.
But I don't think my opinion is really, this, I don't.
Well, look, I'm not making the argument that it's a good movie. I'm not doing that. I think it may be just in general, people have an unconscious thing going into it that maybe affect their idea of it or their enjoyment of it.
Go into it as a summer popcorn movie. It is, put logic aside, because there is a lot of that you just have to put aside and just enjoy it for fun and watching Jason Statham save people. Like that's it.
Yeah, it would be interesting. So we need to find out who's the undersea equivalent of Neil deGrasse Tyson. Because those little submarines and those little underwater vehicles, there's no way anything can do that.
No.
So
gosh, no.
Whoever the aquatic equivalent of Neil deGrasse Tyson is should weigh in and say, yeah, you got that wrong. And,
yeah.
Pick it apart, whatever. Anyway, so I give it 3.5 stars.
Okay.
Probably 1.5 or 2 stars for being a better movie than I thought, and then the rest for Jason Statham.
Yeah.
For just being
him.
Being Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So you wanted to talk about the Emmys that were on Monday.
Yeah, well, I thought it was a good idea since we didn't have a lot to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing, and I think there were a lot of people who probably are kind of in the same camp that you are, in that they were surprised, shocked, or disappointed by a lot of the winners, by a lot of the results. Because I did talk to some people at work throughout the week who watched, and David, who's a listener, who I happen to work with. Yeah, David, hey. What's up, man? Thought it was not a great show. First of all.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop there and then you can get back to it. I actually enjoyed the show. I felt like it went really fast. I liked the way that they kind of did the little snippets and then they had someone come out and just present the winners instead of having them stand there, and we had to watch longer clips of people. It felt like it went very fast and they finished right on time. So the show itself I liked.
Okay, so I think they could do themselves a favor. I know they want a 3-hour show. So the format I actually really liked. And I haven't talked to anybody who didn't like the format where they went through and then the winners, right? You didn't have this long banter for every presentation. But were you done with the part? Okay. What I didn't care for, this is a hard one for me because I like everybody involved. I like Colin Jost and I like Michael Che and A.D. Bryant and Kenan Thompson and all those people, but it really started to feel like an SNL kind of half skit. I
think I'm going to have a problem with that because I think that's what happened. So the opening thing was funny, and there were only 2 people on there that were SNL in the opening. And then Maya and Fred were on, who again didn't work with Colin and Michael Che, but this happens when go back. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, whenever they hosted Golden Globes and stuff, everyone that they have involved in their skits were always SNL people. When Seth Meyers hosts anything or he's doing the writing, that's what happens because they're these friends and they can call them up and say, come help me.
Which is...
So I don't have a problem with that. Okay. I enjoy it. And maybe that's just because I'm a super fan of SNL and so I'm just biased for it or whatever. But I think if it were... I can't even think of someone else, but if it were, someone else who we knew ran with a pack and those people always came up and helped them out, it'd be the same thing. I think that's okay to pull your friends in and help.
So that's not the thing I have a problem with. I was fine with the people involved. I didn't care. So
okay,
Colin Jost.
That's what you made it sound like, but okay.
No, so okay. There's one thing in having it turn into an SNL skit over 3 hours. This was not a good skit.
I don't know what you're talking about because there was less than 5 minutes in the beginning and then Fred and Maya did a couple 30-second little bits.
Yeah.
That was it.
Which were not great.
I enjoyed it because I enjoy them, but it was a very small amount. Like
I know, but there was just enough that it kept reminding you that it was this group of people. It wasn't like, okay, they had one cameo or whatever. They just kept kind of coming and going.
So out of the 3 hours, maybe you're talking the 10 minutes that involved all of that. You have a problem with. Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
Well, here's my main problem. No, seriously.
I mean, we're not getting to the real content.
I know, but the show is kind of half of what I'm going to talk about. I did not really like the way that Colin Jost and Michael Che hosted the show.
Oh, I did. I thought they were very funny. I love them, and I liked everything that they said and did.
Okay, that's your opinion, and that's fantastic. Mine is different.
Yeah, and you don't watch SNL, so you're probably not really used to their back and forth, except when I force you to watch Weekend Update.
I'm used to it enough to appreciate it when it's good. They seem nervous or uneasy or something, and it affected it. That's my opinion.
Well, they had to hold back some because now they were in prime time. So, they couldn't do everything I'm sure they wanted to do, and they were making sure they were...
For whatever reason.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what the reason is.
Yeah.
That's just the way it came off to me.
That was your opinion, yeah.
Yes, that's my opinion.
Okay.
Now, to get to the content of the show, right?
Finally... I didn't realize that you were going to have all those problems.
Somebody is very annoyed with me right now.
No, it's just I just want to get to the real heart of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay, so I thought the way it went was really good. The way they announced the nominees and that sort of stuff, fantastic. I was shocked by some of the results. And I don't watch a lot of it. And I know you were shocked because you kept saying, oh, I can't believe that. Right? So do you want to talk about that?
I have a problem with most of the winners, at least at the main Emmys. I was happy with a lot of them at the Shmemmys the week before. But what the problem was to me is that, in the beginning, the whole opening little ditty was about how diverse the Emmy nominations were this year. They were the most diverse nominations, and that was great. And I loved it when the nominations came out because finally some people that I loved were nominated. But then the winners were not being reflected in that diversity. And all I kept saying was it felt like there was one group of people who voted for the nominations, and then it feels like there was a completely separate group of old white men that voted for the winners, because it was surprising. Like I love Henry Winkler and I love Bill Hader, and I watched a few episodes of Barry, and it's enjoyable, but I can't believe that they won out over some of the other nominees. That was a very surprising thing. Number one, because the Emmys don't normally go for brand new shows, and it just felt like someone else was doing the voting. It was very strange. The Ms. Maisel winning so much. Look, that show's a juggernaut. You can't compare that show to most sitcoms and things that are on, and the amount of dialogue and everything. But it does happen to be a very white show. I love the show. I'm glad it won, but everyone also knows that I feel like Blackish has deserved it almost every year, and especially this year. So I was really disappointed that didn't make it. I can't even talk about Game of Thrones winning Best Drama because I don't watch it and I have a real problem against it. But beating out Handmaid's Tale to me was just insane and rude. And again, feeling like different people are voting for that. And Elizabeth Moss not winning for Handmaid's Tale when Samira Wiley won. And then in supporting, there were 3 people from Handmaid's Tale, but Tandy Newton won, which was good. I mean, so, as far as diverse winners go, out of the, how many do they present in the night? 40? I think 3 were actually quote unquote diverse winners. Regina King, Tandy Newton, RuPaul, I think. Didn't RuPaul's show win? So, so it was just very surprising that we could get a nomination list like we did, but then the winners list comes out the same way it always seems to come out. Yeah. It was just really weird. And personally, I was shocked. Almost every category, I was like, seriously? That's not at all what because I always choose who I want to win, and I always choose who I think is going to win. And probably 75% of it at this show didn't match either of those for me. And that's just never happened in any shows in my memory before that I've been so off.
Okay.
So I don't know what happened. I really don't. I don't know if the Television Academy hasn't expanded their voting base yet, gotten younger. I don't know what happened, but it was just very strange.
Well, I think they probably have because of the shows and people that were nominated, right?
But that's what I'm saying is I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, it's not, and I'm not going to know. I mean,
Well, yes, there's no way of knowing for sure, but it did look odd that you had these categories that were, out of 6 people, 4 or 5 were, black or Latino or Asian or whatever, and then the one white person won.
Right.
I did notice that myself.
Yeah.
Right. It just seemed kind of odd that it kept happening, and once or whatever is kind of a, anybody can win, right?
Sure.
But then you start to see a pattern emerge, and it's kind of like,
right.
Okay, here we go again for all the, like the opening skit said, well, it's over. We've done it.
Right.
Well, no, we haven't. And there it was kind of throughout the show that nope. And at the end, it's like, no, not by a long shot.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just, I mean, the two whitest shows, Maisel and Game of Thrones. And again, I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, such and such should win because it's just that personally, I do think that there are people who actually deserved it more, who maybe, maybe it's not Elizabeth Moss, obviously, but the cast is more diverse than the cast of Game of Thrones, so it was just weird. I felt really weird through the whole thing. And I don't know, maybe it was because in the beginning they pointed this out. So it was like right in my face that they were singing like, we did it.
Yeah.
And then, so maybe it was just that glaringly like obvious. I don't know what it was, but it was just strange.
And in talking to several people again, like I pointed out, and I wasn't sure because I don't really pay attention to these things. It is usually on a Sunday night, and it was on a Monday, which kind of automatically set it off on a weird tone.
Does NBC do Sunday Night Football? Because I'll bet that's why they changed it. I think that because ESPN does Monday Night Football, so yeah, so that's probably why they changed it so that they could have football. So well, again, what wins in this world?
Well, and I don't know what the ratings were like, but they couldn't have been as good as if it was on a Sunday.
I have no idea.
So what are they doing even putting in for it? If you're gonna do it in September and you started Sunday Night Football, what are you doing? Why even do it?
Well, because it's a lot of money. So
is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's my point.
The Emmys rotate every year from network to network. So this just happened to be their year. So,
okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought maybe they put in for it special.
No, they rotate every year.
Okay.
So, yeah. It was funny, though, because we ordered pizza. And, like, it took them forever to get here. And it was like all a mess, and I go, I can't believe they're so busy for Emmy night. And then I realized there's Monday Night Football, which I don't even think about. I was like,
you poor thing, because you were so excited. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the Emmys are causing that they're overrun with Emmys, and I'm like, oh, Monday Night Football.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was our take. Well, I'm just hopeful that Golden Globes, SAGs, Oscars are all better.
Much more relevant.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done with that.
Okay, good. So we're going to move on to TV now.
Thought we were headed to divorce there halfway through that.
No. But I do appreciate that you watched the Emmys with me. He normally doesn't sit there and watch the whole show, and he did. So,
I did.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to TV. There's not a lot going on, but there's a lot of new shows that I've started that I just thought I would touch base on. Mm-hmm. Except for the first one, which is The Sinner. That ended this week. So I thought I would talk about that because I have talked about the first season of The Sinner. And I said it was one of the greatest television events I've ever seen. This second season was not that. So it was pretty disappointing. I actually figured it out in the second episode. And of course, I didn't know if I was right or not, but when we got to the last episode and they proved me right, I was like, yeah, kind of knew that. Great performances. Bill Pullman is so good. Tracy Letts was in this season, and he's fantastic. If you know,
who's he?
He's an actor. He's also in Divorce and he's really funny in that. But he's also a playwright. He won the Tony for August Osage County. He wrote that.
Okay.
Anyway, so he's great in it. The chick in this season was Carrie Coon. She's also great. She was in Gone Girl and
I know the name.
Fargo. She was in one of the seasons of Fargo. And the kid was great. It was all based around this kid. And the only thing he was on was last season, or at least that I've seen him, was that Zach Braff sitcom that tried last season called Alex Inc. He was one of the kids on there. So he didn't get a lot of play. But he was really good on this. So it was an interesting type of story. I think some people probably really enjoyed it. Just to me, I compare it to the first season, and it didn't hold up for me at all. Because it actually felt kind of boring. Like the last season, an episode would end, and I would just be like feverish and be like, I gotta watch the next one. I have to. I wish I could, binge this series. This one, it was kind of like I was bored. It was drawn out. It was just, yeah. So,
well, that first season set the bar probably too high.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really hard to do, is follow up. That's that's what sets the shows like Lost and Breaking Bad and all of those aside. They're able to follow up not just the second season, but year after year after year,
right,
with just as good,
right,
seasons, and that's incredibly hard to do.
It is. And I used to have a thing. I used to call myself like the first season queen, because I would love the first season of shows, and then the second season I'd be like, nope, and I would stop watching a show, because it especially happened kind of after Lost, was people would be like, oh, I've got a cool idea for a show, but they wouldn't think of it past the first season. And so it was like they ruined all these good ideas, because of course, then they would also show us everything by the end of the first season. So
yeah, and it's really hard. But how many shows have had great, starts to a season? Like the first 5 or 6 episodes are like fantastic,
right,
and then by the end of the season, you're like, no, done.
It fizzles out.
Yeah, so it's really hard to.
It is. It's very hard. Yeah. So anyway, so that was The Sinner. The first season is on Netflix, so I still highly recommend the first season. And this season, if you have time, I guess, go for it. So then the rest of these shows are all ones that have started, or I've started. And I just wanted to talk about them a little bit, but I will revisit them when they've finished.
Okay.
So the first is Kidding. It's on Showtime with Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah.
And Frank Langella and Catherine Keener and Judy Greer. Yep. Great cast. It's a half-hour show. He plays Jeff Pickles. He is a children's show host on PBS, kind of like a Mr. Rogers thing. He was married to Judy Greer. They lost a son, and they're now separated. And it's kind of this thing of the unraveling of his life is causing an unraveling of his work life and this show. His dad is Frank Langella. He's the producer of the show.
That's his dad?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his sister is Catherine Keener, and she's finding out that her husband may be cheating on her. And so there's just kind of this drama up against this like sweet show that they're he's supposed to be presenting. And Judy Greer is maybe dating someone new. And so it's to me, it's entertaining. There's a darkness, there's a lightness, there's self-exploration. I think that he's really going to go through this season. There's only been 2 episodes, so I can't really speak to a lot of it, but for me, it's keeping me hooked. I like it, and I'm going to keep watching it. So that's on Showtime, called Kidding with Jim Carrey.
So I think I've seen both episodes.
No, I think you only saw the second one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't decided whether I like it yet or not.
Yeah. The second show is called You on Lifetime. I had spoken to this when it was getting ready to start. Now there's been 2 episodes and I'm still on it. It's a very guilty pleasure Lifetime movie network type show. It's on Lifetime. It's with Penn Badgley, who is from Gossip Girl. And it feels like you're just watching the first hour of a Lifetime movie. So it's just very kind of, that sort of thing. He falls for this girl, stalks her, and is now starting to get into a relationship with her. But he's also like this really not good guy who anyone that's in her life he doesn't like, it appears he's going to kill or somehow remove them from her life.
Wow.
So it's, but it's that. If you like Lifetime movies, then you'll like the show. I mean, that's the only way to explain it.
Okay.
It's it's entertaining, and it's just one of those kind of mindless type things, but it's dark. I mean, it is dark. And there's little things in there that are like she doesn't have a password on her phone, and so there's also these little things that are kind of teaching women, like she's undressing like right in front of her window, which, all our blinds are always closed. And he says there's a lot of voiceover for him as he's like stalking her. And he's like, have you never seen any movie? Haven't
you ever seen any Lifetime movies?
Yeah. So, it's also, there's little tips like that about it, but it's interesting. I have no idea where it's going to go. Lifetime has already renewed it for a second season. So that's also in the back of my head. Like, are they going to ruin this and end the first season telling us, giving us an ending, or are they going to string it along into the second season? So I have no idea. I guess it's based on a book too. So, I have no idea, but it's interesting. It's called You, Y-O-U, and it's fun.
Okay.
Yeah. My kind of thing.
If you say so.
Yeah. American Horror Story is back with Apocalypse. Again, this was one I talked about. I wasn't sure if I was going to continue watching it. I'm 2 episodes in, and I will watch the third one. This one I am taking episode by episode. They're basically taking the first season, which was Murder House, and the third season of Cult, and combining them and bringing in these characters. But what happened was, in the first episode, the bomb came. They were all in LA. They get the text alert. Something's coming in the next 45 minutes. So everyone's basically killed or irradiated at some point. But there's this group of people who had either paid to go into this bunker, or a couple kids were chosen for whatever reason. And so now we're watching these people in this bunker that are headed up by Sarah Paulson and Kathy Bates. And it's not a nice place to be. And it's a very, and then it becomes American Horror Story on its own. But it's interesting so far. And we're bringing in, I think, the devil child from Murder House, and he's grown up now, and we just kind of saw him a bit, I think, last episode. So, again, I've said I don't like the gore. So as long as we're still sticking kind of somewhat with the story, because I liked both of those seasons, I'll continue with this season. But if we start to get gory, then that's where I might have to tap out a bit. So,
okay.
We'll see. So again, if you liked those 2 seasons so far, it's worth watching.
Okay.
Again, a great cast. I mean, it's, all his normal players, but it's great.
Yeah, I look forward to Sarah Paulson doing something else.
She does a lot of other things. Well, she was just in Ocean's 8.
But but not enough. I mean, we saw that. So over the last year and a half, we've seen everything else she's in. That's what I mean. She should be in more. I like Sarah Paulson. She's
fantastic.
I know.
Another show I talked about, which is on Hulu, is called The First with Sean Penn. I am halfway through. I've been halfway through for the last week. I haven't gone back to finish it. It's a little slow. So it's about some astronauts trying to get to Mars. It's just a little slow. And I know I will get back to it, but now we're picking up so much with TV that I'm not sure when I will. I think my sister's mostly finished with it. I don't know. It's a little slow. I guess that's all I can say is I kept watching. I think when I thought about this, I thought it was going to be them going to Mars and being on Mars. And that's not where we are yet. I think they do launch at the end of the season. But so far it's been about the red tape with the government and, getting people trained and who are they going to choose. And it's just like, it's
all the administrative setup for the show. Yeah.
And it's just a little boring.
Yeah.
But I love Sean Penn and he's great. And, but we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see it'll be interesting to see how it does now with all the good television coming back.
Right. Exactly.
It may have missed its opportunity by not.
Well, the other thing that surprised me too is Hulu released it all at once. And with most of their shows, they don't do that. So it also makes me wonder if they kind of gave up on it from the start, because anything else I've watched on Hulu, I have to wait a week in between.
Right. But they probably were smart enough that they had people review it. And they all said, look, with all the good television coming on here shortly, you probably want to release this and get this out there for people to watch. Because once the other stuff comes on, they're not going to finish this if you do it every week.
Maybe. But they do with their other shows. So, that's what I mean, is that they knew that this wasn't as good to hold up.
I think we actually just agreed.
Okay, good. And then there's a couple shows that started yesterday on Netflix that I started to get into, so this is also very early on. I think I'm on the 5th episode, actually, of a show called The Good Cop. It's only a half-hour show, though, so it's with Tony Danza and Josh Groban.
Josh Groban and Tony Danza. Okay.
Josh Groban plays Tony Danza's son.
That makes perfect sense.
Tony
in my
Danza,
head.
of course, his character name is Tony because he's one of those. It's also weird because Tony Danza sings the theme song, and I'm like, Josh Groban should be singing the theme song. But anyway, Tony plays a cop that was a dirty cop. And he went to prison for a few years, and Josh Groban is now a detective, and he's like a Boy Scout detective, so he doesn't do anything that's not by the book. So they live together because now Tony's on parole, and Josh, goes and solves these crimes every episode, and Tony usually is helping out in some way because he knows the streets and blah blah blah. It's not great. I mean, I'm just gonna be upfront about it. It's enjoyable enough that I had it on while I was working, but even while I was working, I could solve the crime from the very beginning. Like it's not, and they're probably going to be like, oh, it's not like Law and Order. We're not trying to make it a mystery, because I think they're focusing more on the father and son deal. But still,
yeah,
you could make it a little bit harder for us on that side, as well as their mom also died, and he's still looking for, it was a hit and run, and Josh Groban, and they're still looking for who did that.
Tony Danza's wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's okay. I mean, again, it's a half-hour show, so for me, it's just kind of like if I can put it on while I'm working, or I can, do something like that, it's perfectly fine. It's a 10-episode season, so I'm halfway through. I'll get back to it eventually, but it's not one that I'm like, oh my God, why am I not watching this? So, we'll see.
Okay.
So then the next one that started yesterday is Maniac, the one with Jonah Hill and Emma Stone. This is a Cary Fukunaga show. He's the one who did the first season of True Detective, which was fantastic. So I'm 2 episodes into this. I wasn't sure if this was going to be my thing. After these 2 episodes, I still want to keep going. It's an interesting world. It's a very different world. Like the Statue of Liberty is different, and all their technology is like 80s DOS computers and all that, but then there's other like sanitation robots, and so it's just very interesting mix.
Whoa, what is this show?
Maniac. Yeah. And then if you can't pay for something, you can choose to have an ad buddy pay for it, which means like if you can't pay for your bus trip, you get an ad buddy, and a person comes and sits next to you on the bus and reads ads aloud to you. And they're like customized ads to you and your life and things that you might actually want. But they'll pay for whatever you want. You just have to sit there. Like if you want a meal, they'll sit there while you're eating and read to you these ads. It's a weird thing. But then there's also this drug company that pays a lot of money for drug trials. That's what the whole show is about. So we're just getting into that, where Jonah Hill and Emma Stone are both doing that. There was also this other thing he was going to do, which was a temporary husband, like people who lose their spouse. He could go and be this. Oh, there's also a friend thing where you can hire someone to show up and be your friend for a while. So there's all these weird things going on, but then they go home and they're on a DOS computer and watching a tube television. And so it's very this weird mix of stuff. It's so strange.
This is very confusing.
And everyone smokes, and they're all smoking inside the buildings, which is also weird because it just throws you back. What's going on? The scientists are smoking in the building, and it's weird.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I might have to check this out just out of curiosity.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're just getting into these first drug trials with the 2 of them. And that I assume that's the point of the show, from what I've heard, is going through these different drugs and what they're going to do to them and how the 2 are going to interact and stuff. So I'm going to keep going and we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep us posted.
Yeah. So that's everything I have for TV right now. I want to switch quickly over to podcasts, which I know I've never talked about. But this week, because television was so slow, I had time to listen to some podcasts that I hadn't in a while. So the first one is called Dirty John. It's the writer and narrator is Christopher Goffard. He's a writer here for LA Times. And this was based on a story that he had written, and then he, kind of turned it into this podcast. It's only 6 episodes. It's a true story. And now Bravo has done a show called Dirty John based on this that comes out, I think, in November. So that's why I wanted to listen to this. I know this podcast came out a while ago, and most of you are like, yeah, that's old news. But I just thought I would talk about it real quick. I'm not going to give away any endings on this. But there was this guy, John Meehan, who married this woman, Debbie Newell. And he was kind of a psychopath and a stalker and a liar, and told her he was a doctor and told her he had been in Iraq and all this sort of stuff. Turns out he hadn't done any of that. He's been in jail a lot and all kinds of problems. And just, it talks about kind of the havoc that he wreaked on everyone's lives, almost from when he was a kid, and then up into this woman and her children's lives and what happened. And there's a previous wife also. So I'm sure the show, if they stick to it, is going to be pretty interesting. Because, again, I always think that true life is much more dramatic than fictional stuff they can usually come up with. But it's also on Bravo, so they might go crazy.
Yeah,
So
this gives me an idea for a business.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't it be a smart idea if everybody getting married had a background check on the other person?
Well, yeah.
And
for sure.
But they're really expensive to do, right?
I don't think so.
Oh. Well, there should be an easy way, or maybe private investigators should start marketing themselves to...
I just can't imagine someone tells you you're a doctor. Like, and you get married, how do you never go and visit at the hospital?
You would call
or
their
how
office
do you,
or
yeah,
something.
Or, where's your family? Where are your sisters and brothers? Like, all that sort of stuff that is normal. Like, as they're talking about this, I'm just like, how is she just going about her life? And but
there are those people
that
just okay, good enough.
So it's definitely worth listening to. Like I said, 6 episodes.
How long are the episodes?
About an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really easy listening. I did it in 2 days because it intrigued me so much I couldn't stop. So but it's called Dirty John, and then it'll be a show on Bravo in a couple months. So that's one. And then Serial also came back, which is one of my favorites. The first season, they talked about the murder trial of Adnan Syed, who's getting a new trial now. And then the second season was all about Bo Bergdahl, which was really interesting. And this third season, what they've decided to do is just take a look into our American justice system. And so they...
man.
Oxymoron. And so they spent a year in Cleveland at their justice center there and followed all kinds of cases and defense attorneys and prosecutors, and they talked to judges, and they've really gone into the system there, and they're going to talk about everything and all kinds. So 2 episodes were released this week, and then every week now we have to wait a week for the next episode to come out. But these first 2 episodes are enlightening and eye-opening and just
probably disappointing and very saddening.
Very.
Yeah, but I can only imagine.
But worth listening to, so that then you can have discussions with people and bring it to light.
Yeah, these are the things, they're uncomfortable. Yeah. Right? Bad stuff is going on and bad things are happening to good people who just who have no other way to get through it. And these are the things we have to look at. Yeah. As a society, we have to pay attention to these things because these things should not be happening. I'm only imagining. Right. I can imagine what's going on, and I feel comfortable in saying these things shouldn't go on because I'm sure there's lots of bad stuff going on. But yeah, we got to start being better as a society, looking out for one another from a societal standpoint.
Exactly. Yeah. So listen to this, and even though they're in Cleveland, that doesn't mean it's not happening in your town. So definitely listen and give it some thought.
Yeah, whatever happens in Cleveland basically happens everywhere else.
Exactly. Okay, so those are the 2 new podcasts that I just listened to this week. But since I never talk about podcasts, I thought I would just name the 3 that I always listen to. I know it sounds weird because right now we're doing a podcast for me to say that I don't listen to that many. But that's also because I work from home. So I don't have a commute. And because I work from home, I'm watching TV. So it's like really rare for me to stop the TV and then listen to a podcast. So it's usually when I'm cleaning or cooking that I will listen to podcasts. Okay. But these are the 3 that I always listen to. The first being Bitch Sesh with Casey Wilson and Danielle Schneider. It's all housewives. And I just love those 2, and so I listen to that every week. Okay. The next is Armchair Expert, which is relatively new, which is Dax Shepard's podcast.
Yep.
I love listening to him. He's been through it. He's been through therapy so much that he speaks in a way that is so evolved and open that everyone who's on his show, I just love listening to him interpret them, and they really learn something about themselves. They really do. So that's another one, Armchair Expert. And then the last one is My Favorite Murder, which is with Georgia Hardstark and oh crap, and now I'm forgetting her name because you laughed and you threw me off.
Sorry.
But I'm a huge true crime lover, and I love murder and true crime. So if you also do love, Dateline or the ID channel and I Survived and all that, listen to My Favorite Murder. Every week they talk about new murder stories, and you can also submit your hometown stories, and they go around the world and talk. Like right now they're on the East Coast, and so you can see them live, and the community of murderinos that listen to them. Murderinos. So it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was laughing at the title just because,
yeah.
It's kind of on the point. But so I have to say, just real quick to that, the last couple times, as much as I laugh at it and I poke fun at you for it, the last couple times you've had a couple of these shows on, that whole business going on in Bardstown, Kentucky.
This show, The Disappearance of Crystal Rogers.
Yeah. The last couple times you had that on, I got sucked in.
He did.
I did. And I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it. Because, I had preconceived notions about those people, but it is kind of fascinating.
Yeah, he definitely gets on me for my love of this stuff, and he thinks I'm crazy. But it's I mean, I would watch it with him doing his work or whatever, and eventually, when the finale was coming on, you were like, I think I'm gonna have to watch that.
Wait for me. I'll watch that with you. Yeah.
Because again, and for me, I don't understand how anyone can't get sucked into it. These mysteries, these things, and now last week the new one started, the unspeakable killing of Jessica Chambers, the girl who was set on fire. So it's just we want answers, right? And it's this just constant search for answers that we watch these things for.
Yeah.
So and whatever those answers might be, whatever the questions might be, there's a million of them.
And I think it's kind of turning into maybe a cottage industry where people watching these shows, it's the interactive part of it is growing.
It is.
Right, where you can actually help solve or work on some things.
Online community, I mean, especially like the biggest example is the Golden State Killer. And now that he's been caught, the cops and researchers and everyone are saying, okay, now we need your help on these. So it is true. People can do a lot of help with these things. So there's a lot of online communities to help try and solve some crimes, and it only it's a huge thing.
And see, that would be to me more valuable than just sitting at home playing video games or something like that. Right.
Sure.
So benefiting society.
Right.
It's just that whole thing of, I don't know, it just seems kind of morbid.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not.
Okay.
Fair. So those are my podcasts. So now I'm just quickly going to run down all the new shows that are starting between today and next Saturday. This is a big week, and I think the next few weeks are going to be like this. So, so I'm first going to just run down all of the returning shows that are starting this week. So we've got Big Bang Theory, which is coming back for its last season, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, about time.
Yeah. The Gifted is coming back. This Is Us, which I'm a little tired of, so it better be a good season or else I might be tapping out.
Oh, no.
American Housewife, always funny. Modern Family, which I think should have ended a few seasons ago. So they're saying they're going to kill someone off. So I hope that's just the end of the show then.
Well, you know who it's going to be.
I don't think they're going to be that predictable.
Really?
Yeah. The Good Place is this week.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking forward to, baby.
I know, so exciting.
Yep.
Grey's Anatomy is back this week.
Man.
I think it's his 15th season.
Good grief. Talk about tired.
And every season I go, oh, I'm so sick of this. But every episode I'm drawn in. So
haven't you seen every operation and disaster possible?
You'd think.
Oh my God.
Law and Order SVU.
Meh.
Which, oh, come on.
Nope.
And that's it for returning shows. That's shows that I watch. These are only shows I watch.
Sure.
Yeah, just to be clear, because I know other things like Hawaii Five-0 and stuff like that are coming back.
Meh.
Well, Hawaii Five-0 was a really good show until they got rid of Boomer and Jen.
Well, yeah, it was until they ruined it.
Yeah, don't get rid of the best part of the show. Anyway, so then the new shows that are coming on this week are Magnum PI.
Oh boy,
I'm excited about this. I'm excited. I like Jay Hernandez. I actually like everyone on the cast. And Higgins is a woman, and so I'm excited for it.
Look, I don't have a problem with any of that. And I hope it succeeds. But I also have that you know how I am with these things. These reboots of classic shows. Mm-hmm. Right? If they came back and tried to do Miami Vice. So I told you why the movie failed, right? And the series are a little bit different, right?
We've had this conversation. I'm sorry for my sighing, but we've had this conversation about Miami Vice so many times, and it just makes me angry.
Those are my formative years.
But the thing is, it doesn't matter. But
no, we can be done with that.
Yeah, it works if it works. MacGyver, supposedly people like. Lethal Weapon, I didn't like the dude. I now like that Sean William Scott is coming on, so I might give it a try because I love Damon Wayans. Hawaii Five-0 was good. If they hadn't gotten rid of Boomer and Jen, I would have been. I would still be watching.
That was the authenticity of the show.
It was a family. Then that was the thing is they kept all the four of them, the five of them, whoever they were bringing in and out. They always called themselves a family, and then they just get rid of them, and we're just supposed to accept it. No, I'm not going to accept that.
No.
So I'm looking forward to Magnum PI. I think it's going to be fun. If it's not, it's not. But I'm giving it a shot. Yeah. Manifest starts this week, which everyone's giving that nod to Lost because it's about an airplane.
Airplane I'm in.
But I'm looking forward to it. FBI. It's a Dick Wolf show. It looks very much like Quantico. But I'm going to give it a shot because I like the chick that's in it.
Who is she?
I don't know her name off the bat.
Okay.
But I'm going to give it a shot. Because it's Dick Wolf.
I didn't even hear about this show.
Yeah. But I'm not sure I'm going to be sticking with that one.
Okay.
New Amsterdam. It's another hospital show. Again, I'm not sure I'm going to stick with it. It looks, I don't know. But I'm going to try it.
So the preview I saw, it looks different than a lot of the others, but I'm sure by episode 5 it's going to feel just like everything else.
Yeah, they just can't keep it up the way Grey's can. It's just not.
But even Grey's, there's only so much you can do in a hospital.
Yeah, but they do it. So they do. I mean, it's 15 years. So
yeah.
A Million Little Things, which is I think ABC's answer to This Is Us, looks like again. There's Boomer. So Boomer left. What's her name? Boomer. I don't know her real name, but Boomer from Battlestar Galactica. She was on Hawaii Five-0. Now she's on this A Million Little Things.
Is that the one that I saw that I thought I might like?
Yeah, and it's like it's a really good cast.
Isn't Ron Livingston in it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And their friend kills themselves, and so it's this group of friends now dealing with that.
Yeah.
So that looks like it'll be a crier.
It's a great cast, so I'll give it a shot just because of the cast.
Yeah. Single Parents, Taran Killam, Leighton Meester. What's his name? Brad Garrett.
Yeah.
It looks funny. I hope it does a really good job. I love Taran Killam.
Yeah, I mean, anything he's in, I'll give a shot.
Yeah. What else? Murphy Brown is back this week. Very excited for that. I'm very, very excited for this.
I'm sure it'll work. I didn't watch it last time.
You didn't?
No, I didn't watch a lot of those.
That's true. You didn't watch TV.
Yeah.
And The Cool Kids, which is
David Allen
Vicki
Greer
Lawrence,
and Martin Mull, I think.
And the little guy from Will and Grace, what's his name?
Yeah.
So it's a Friday night.
The little guy.
It's a Friday night throwaway show, but man,
these
are
funny.
legends. And
it's going to be funny because of the premise.
I hope so.
Right?
I hope so.
Yeah. It's going to be good.
So then also, I just want to point out on HBO, I think it's Monday night, there's a documentary about Jane Fonda, which looks really interesting. I'm excited to see that. And coming out next week on Amazon Prime is King Lear with Anthony Hopkins, which, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you didn't mention I Feel Bad.
that was on this week.
Right.
Yeah, I mentioned it last week that it would be on this week.
Oh, and you didn't want to say, hey, it's...
I forgot about it, actually. Yeah, so there were 2 episodes of I Feel Bad on.
Yeah.
I liked it. I'm going to keep watching it.
I'm going to give it a chance. It wasn't what I was hoping for, I don't think, but I think that's probably unfair on my part, so
yeah,
I'm going to give it a chance.
I'm going to just put a PSA out there, though, that I'm a little shocked because it's produced by Amy Poehler, but the one thing that I have a problem with was the second episode was like, oh, she needs her 20 minutes to herself. She comes home, her husband's a mess. He doesn't help. He doesn't do anything. I'm very tired of that story because I don't believe it's true anymore. I don't think that the husband/fathers aren't helping. And I think these sorts of shows that keep showing that are just perpetuating that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's why when a man changes a diaper now, we throw him a parade. No, you need to just participate and there's no question about it. And so I was a little upset by that, but again, I like her character. I love that she's got all these guys at work that are young, that are helping her out, figure out life. And then she comes home and her parents are funny and her kids are good, So it was a good little mix of like all these people. So we'll see. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I think it can really grow if they let it.
It has a chance.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to give it a chance, is because it has a chance.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she's fantastic. I really like
her.
They
all were. The parents cracked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're stereotypical though.
Probably.
And she's not.
Right.
So I really like that, and she's really good.
Yeah.
And she's hot.
Yes. Okay, so as quickly as we can, because we're coming up to an hour now.
Oh my, really?
Yeah.
Man, this one's flown by.
So we were originally going to go see A House with the Clock in Its Walls yesterday, and I ended up getting work in the way. Work got in the way, so we couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we had planned for Actors Corner to use Jack Black, so we're still going to do Jack Black. But we did not go see the movie, so we can't include that in here, even if we wanted to. But that's why we're choosing Jack Black. So here we go.
Okay.
You'll go first this week.
I'll go first.
A movie you love.
The Holiday.
Yep, me too.
Okay.
I think all of these are going to be the same.
They're probably going to be largely the same, if not down the line.
But I think we've talked about The Holiday before. It's a good movie on its own. It's a great Christmas movie. It's a wonderful...
It's
everything.
just such a sweet movie.
It's the best.
Yeah, it really is.
Movie you like.
Okay, so there's 2 of them. I couldn't decide between the 2.
Okay.
Tropic Thunder?
That's mine.
Okay, or Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
That's my I secretly love.
Oh, see, I don't secretly love it. I just loved it. Yeah, that's not a secret.
It's not.
I said that when we reviewed it.
Yeah, Tropic Thunder. I'm not sure that I think I love him more in Jumanji, but Tropic Thunder is just funny for everyone, Yeah. But he was the star of Jumanji for sure.
I agree.
Yeah,
in my eyes, yeah.
Yeah. Movie you hate?
Nacho Libre.
Really?
Yeah.
You always laugh whenever you see it or whatever, so I thought you liked it.
I always laugh at America's Funniest Videos when people just get hit or fall down, so that's not a great indicator all the time.
Okay. I've never seen it, so I couldn't choose it.
I stopped watching it, but I've probably seen the whole movie at different times now.
Gotcha.
I just wish it hadn't been made.
Okay. Mine was Year One. It was bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's going to change my answer then for an upcoming.
You're doing it by yourself,
as I often do.
Yeah. Okay. So Secretly Love. I already said Jumanji.
Shallow Hal.
Oh yeah.
Because he plays a in the beginning. Yeah. So he's kind of a shit in the beginning.
Kind of. Yeah.
He's very much a shit in the beginning, but he comes around without really knowing it.
Right.
And by the end, he's on board being a decent guy, and even seeing things clearly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of sweet.
Embarrassed you haven't seen
Kung Fu Panda.
You haven't seen the original?
That's why I'm embarrassed.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw the first one. I haven't seen any of the others.
How was the first one?
I enjoyed it.
Okay. Good.
Not as much as like when the others came out. I was like, oh, I need to see those, but it was enjoyable. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So Mine was Bernie, which came out a few years ago, and he got a lot of praise for it, and I just never sat down and watched it.
See, that helps. That little snippet helps me for my next answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's yours?
The one I'm
add
adding to my watch list. It was going to be Year One. But if you hate it, I'm probably not going to like it. So I'm going to say Bernie.
Well, and Bernie's mine just because.
Bernie.
Yeah. There's that, and there was another one that just came out a couple years ago too, and now I can't think of. Oh, the Polka King.
Yeah.
He got a lot of praise for that one too.
Yeah.
So those were the two that I was having a hard time deciding. As far as honorable mentions, The Big Year.
Yeah,
Steve Martin. Love that movie.
Yeah, I tried to fit that in somewhere.
Yeah.
I just couldn't figure out where to put it.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
Be Kind, Rewind. I love this movie.
Okay.
Him, and oh God, what's his name? Hitchhiker's Guide.
Martin Freeman?
No, the other, the guy who gets him with the towel.
Sam Rockwell? Oh, Mos Def?
Yes, thank you. Those two, they run a video store, VHS store, and I forget what happens, and the whole place gets magnetized, so all the VHS tapes are wiped out. So they go and reenact with this other girl from the neighborhood. They go and reenact all the movies and shoot it like when we were kids, like wearing cardboard costumes and all this stuff. And so they start renting those out, and like it becomes a huge hit in the neighborhood. And people keep saying, "Hey, can you do Ghostbusters? Hey, can you do this? Hey, and so it becomes this thing. It's one of those that because it appeals to us kids who actually did that as a kid.
Right.
That it's just so great. I mean, yeah, you would like that. We need to watch that.
We got to watch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
School of Rock, of course.
Yeah.
And then those few years where he did like Saving Silverman, Orange County, High Fidelity. He was fantastic in. One of my favorites is Cradle Will Rock. It's a true story back in the 30s. About the federal theater program, which eventually became the National Arts Endowment. But the federal government was closing down this program. And so all these people, like back then, that was all theater. Like it was all government run. So they were all closing down. And Orson Welles was part of this in real life. So there's a guy in there playing Orson Welles. And it was just how they put on this play that was basically a screw you to the government, and the government said you can't perform this, and these guys decided to anyways, and they revolted and they got on stage and they did this show, and Hank Azaria's in it, and all a great
Tim
cast.
Robbins in that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So I could be maybe not remembering correctly, but
okay,
it's a great movie. And then at the end, when they do this musical, this play, it's just so, it's just great. And he plays a vaudevillian performer in that is also losing their job and backing. Anyway, so that's all of Jack Black's things. The one thing we wanted to talk about was his cameos. He's been on a lot of shows like Community, and he was in the Muppets, and did a bunch of stuff. I assume you're talking
our cameo
about
is going to be
Will and Grace.
No, Anchorman Baxter, where he kicks Baxter off the bridge.
Yeah, well, yeah, he punted Baxter. Glass case of emotion.
The man,
kicked
Baxter off the bridge.
Was that your burrito? Yeah. Okay, so that's your cameo. Mine is Will and Grace. He did an episode where he plays a doctor, and Karen has to go and get her physical.
Oh, yeah.
And Will takes her.
Yep.
Oh, that I will always. That is one of the best cameos of a show that has fantastic cameos almost every week. His is a standout.
Yeah,
so
that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, so
hey, you know what? I think Jack Black is seriously underrated as an actor.
As everything. Then you go into Tenacious D.
And a musician.
One of my top albums that I always listen to is one of theirs. And, I think he's underrated, just period, for sure.
Jack, if you're listening, this household appreciates you, man.
That's right. We love you.
Yeah, we love you, man.
So that's it. We went a little extra for a show that I thought we wouldn't have anything to talk about. We certainly covered a whole bunch
what was
of
it?
stuff.
What was that?
What was what?
The show that we talked a lot about.
Huh?
Why do we run so long?
Because we had a lot to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He needs to go take his nap now.
Since we didn't have a show to talk about.
Okay, we're taking up more time.
Oh, I'm done.
So sorry. Okay. He's tie-tie. Go see me now. All right, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Check out... Okay, everyone. Check us out on our website, watchingmystories.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we are looking forward to this full week. Lots of TVs coming up. It's going to be really exciting. And there's some movies next week, too. I don't even remember what they are.
Yeah.
But there's a couple movies, too, for the week. So we'll see if I can make it out.
Yep.
We will get to that.
We'll try really hard.
Yeah. So thanks, everyone, for listening. Until next week, I'll be watching my stories.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one. Bye.